Hello, everybody. Me and you.
That's the day.
Okay, sure. Kevin? First of all, I want to apologize to everybody. Moody's, we had to wait till an announcement this afternoon from Moody's, which was supposed to have been much earlier, so we were required to wait for them to make their announcement on their website before we could convene, so we apologize for that. Of course, I'm here with the governor. I'm Dave Hardy, the Secretary of Revenue, and the purpose of this press conference is to announce some information relevant to the state's finances. We were informed today by Moody's Investor Service during a conference call this morning that Moody's has decided to downgrade West Virginia's general obligation debt rating from AA2, to AA2 from AA1. This affects approximately $392 million worth of outstanding debt that is now pending in the state of West Virginia. So the downgrade was from AA1 to AA2. Moody said that, of course, a year ago, the other agencies, that would be Standard & Poor and Fitch, downgraded West Virginia, and at that time, Moody's decided to put West Virginia on a negative watch. And today, the decision was made to act on the negative watch and to announce the downgrade, which was announced a few minutes ago. The downgrade reflects, according to Moody's, a multi-year trend of growing structural imbalance between the annual expenditures and available resources in our state's budget, which, according to Moody's, is generally inconsistent with an AA1 rating. One thing that was brought up this morning in our conference call with Moody's, and it lasted for quite some time, and this is an actual quote, and in a call with Genevieve Nolan, who's the vice president and analyst for Moody's, they said, and I quote, "Your governor is not afraid to get his hands dirty," referring to Governor Justice's commitment to closing a structural hole in the state's budget. She praised the proposed budget propounded by the governor and the commitment of West Virginia to meet its obligations in a responsible way. So with that, I'm going to, of course, turn it over, the press conference over to the 36th governor of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
Well, guys, all I can say is this just makes me sick. I mean, that's just all there is to it. You know, the problem that I can't bear is simply just this. You know, there was an old story, and you've probably heard it a bunch of times, but you know, where the guy was below the dam and the waters were coming up, and the park ranger came and said, "You got to leave," and he said, "No, I'm not going to leave. The good Lord will save me." And then for the next thing, the water kept coming up, and here the park rangers come back in the boat, and they say, jump in, you got to leave. The water's coming up, and he doesn't leave. And the next thing, he's on the roof, and the helicopter flies in and says, "Get on," and he won't get on, and he washes away. Well, as he goes through the pearly gates, he said, "Lord, I thought you were going to save me." And he said, "I tried 3 times. You know, I sent the park rangers, the boat, and the helicopter." Well, you see, we've been years, and we won't react. All we want to do is kick the can down the road, and we won't react, and we won't do. And now we are where we are. You know, it's disappointing as it can be to get downgraded. You know, we had first S&P and then Fitch's rather, and you know, I mean, for crying out loud, and now the third. And so, and it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse if we don't act and we don't do something. Now, it's going to hurt our communities, there's no question. Our borrowing just got more expensive, no question. And you've got a way to think about this is just think of our bond rating as your credit rating. You know, what happens to you when you've got bad credit? Now, they, in their quotes, and from what I've read, said just this, that we know this. We have 17 years on a 40-year plan and we're paid out on pension benefits, you know, or pension debt. And the refinance, and it's come up, well, let's refinance that. Let's extend that out further to where we don't have those obligations today. Well, that's one of the big things that Moody said. If you do that, you're even more unstable. If you don't make current liabilities, if you don't make current annual payments, you are more unstable. You know, I ask our people and to look at from them, I said, well, what makes us eligible for upgrades? And think about this. Think about it. Here's what they said. Long-term growth. Well, isn't that exactly what I said in the State of the State? They said diversification. I said exactly the same. They said energy, the energy sector, you need to visit the severance tax. That's exactly what I said. They said you need to have positive fund balances. No invasion of those pension funds, those balances. And they said you need surpluses. And that's what we've proposed in this SOS Fund for Development and Economic Expansion within our state. Now, they said you're going to continue to be downgraded if these things happen. You know, coal and gas slows even more. We manage our state poorly. Or we don't pay our annual contributions, meaning that we refinance, extend them out. Now look, it's time to do something. I've told you a bunch of times, I didn't create this mess. The voters honored me to come in and try to straighten it up. We've got to do something. And I've put together a proposal of how we can be on a pathway to prosperity and climb out of this mess. And if we don't, we're going to have more and more days just like today. I mean it. I mean it when I say, I don't like this, and this kind of stuff makes me sick. Because we should have known, and if we continue to do this, we're just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into no man's land. And if we think we're going to go and cut into the bone, and we're going to miraculously be able to cut our way out of this mess, which is no chance on God's earth that we could ever even think about doing that. If we think we can do that, at the end of the rainbow, all we're going to do is spin hopelessly into the China syndrome to where we're going to have a total meltdown and not be able to get out of it. And I'm telling you, I don't like this. I don't like any part of it. Now, I've got to read you just this too. This letter came to me from a 9-year-old kid, a beautiful little girl, and her name is Jenna Meredith Stout, I believe. She writes and says, Dear Governor Justice, she says, I love, love, love the Greenbrier, even more than Disney World. And it's a big hit. She said, my daddy really needs a job in West Virginia, and we may have to move to Indiana. He worked for NiSource, and yesterday is the day he's leaving for Indiana. She says, I absolutely love the Greenbrier Pool and West Virginia. Please help me not leave West Virginia, because on February 20th, my daddy is leaving for a new job in Indiana. She says, I don't want to leave West Virginia because my whole family is in West Virginia. Now, she said, I didn't get to come to the Greenbrier this year because my daddy doesn't have a job. She ends with, God bless you, and of course, Jesus loves you and your family, and I don't want to leave my school. You know, we're better than this. That's all there is to it. I don't know any way to say anything other than it just tears at my guts. It's the very reason that I ran for this office. I ran for this office for Jenna Meredith Stout. I ran for this office just for the fact that really and truly we're better than this. We don't need to have this story. We don't need to have this. Can you imagine really and truly your feelings of a 9-year-old, a little 9-year-old, if you were that, and she sees her daddy having to leave. She's got her friends, her school, her family here. She doesn't want to leave. How many stories are we going to have like this? How many days are we going to have to be downgraded? How many more stories are we going to have till somebody wakes up and addresses the problem and does something about it? Now look, I'll answer your questions on any day about anything, but not today. I've given you as much information as I'm going to give you today, and I'm not happy about this, and I can't say any more than that. Just makes me sick. God bless you. I'm out of here. Thank you.